I'm Jim Stafford with the Oklahoman's Business News Department, and we're here today with Bob Waldrop, who's the founder and president of the Oklahoma Food Cooperative and a backyard farmer, as you can see, or as he calls it, a side yard farmer.
That's right.
But Bob, tell me a little bit. A lot of people, because of rising food prices and other issues like the world food shortage, are considering their own backyard garden. So I just wanted to ask you a little bit about how long you've been gardening and what are all the varieties you have here.
Well, I've been growing here since 1999 when I moved here, and I didn't start with this whole thing. I started with a very small plot, 100 square feet, and I think that's important for new gardeners, anyone considering it, to start small, because sometimes the most common mistake made by new gardeners is that they try too much. Then it's too much work and they get discouraged and not do it again. So it's better to have 100 square feet, which would be like 20 by 5 or something like that you do well, than to try, say, 500 or 600 square feet and not do well at all. And you can do a lot in a small space. I have 44 tomato plants, mostly paste tomatoes because I like to make my own tomato sauce. And I have 38 hot pepper plants, and they're hot ones. I just kind of feel that dinner isn't dinner if you don't sweat a little bit.
Well, let me ask you this. Most or a lot of Oklahomans don't have this amount of space or don't think that they have this amount of space. How would you recommend to people without any kind of space or what they think it's proper go about starting their first backyard garden?
Well, people should think small. I mean, even if you have very little space in a 4x4 plot, which is only 16 square feet, you could grow quite a bit. I grow vertically. These are tomato plants. They're planted on 1 foot squares. So here in this actual 4 square feet, there are 2 tomato plants and 2 cucumber plants. And that actually gives you a lot of tomatoes and cucumbers. And so it is a fine thing to start small. I always say we start small or we don't start at all. And when I first started this, I mean, this property is 1/7 an acre. We're on a corner, so we have 2 sidewalks. There's a 1,500 square foot house and a 750 square foot house and a driveway. And I grew up in Frederick, Oklahoma, where the farms, are like hundreds of acres or thousands of acres these days. And so I was thinking, well, how much can I really grow here? Well, if you start small and just add to it a little bit. I mean, I didn't go out and plant all of these fruit trees. That was all just bare lawn up there when I started. At one time, I planted a little bit every year, and I still plant. I added 2 more. This year I added 2 more grapevines. I added blueberries. I planted 2 more blackberries, and I added some raspberries.
Let me ask you this. You grow for your own consumption, though, right?
Correct.
Not to sell.
Correct.
At Food Co-op, though, your mission is kind of try to connect consumers with small farmers. Is that right? Tell me about the mission of that.
Yes, we think that growing local food systems is very important. It's good for local economies, it's good for urban economies, and it's good for food security, and it's good for the household table, because the food that's grown here in the state of Oklahoma is just very good, and you buy it, it's more fresh, and you have more confidence in the security of it because you can actually know who the farmer is that produced it. But people in urban areas can make money growing food and selling it into the market also. There is the small plot intensive method, which was pioneered by some people up in Canada who grows $50,000 a year on less than 1/2 acre of vegetables, and it's not even one contiguous half acre. It's scattered around town in 20 separate plots.
Let me ask you a last question: is how much has the rising cost of food, the world food crisis that we've been hearing about, how much interest has that sparked in being a small backyard gardener in Oklahoma? Has that sparked some interest?
It certainly has. In fact, we've had a group organized called the City Farms Co-op right here in Oklahoma City, which is helping to organize backyard growers that want to sell into the local market. Growing and selling food is a low capital intensive business that you can start without a huge amount of money, and it takes advantage of a capital asset that people already have, which is their backyard. And I often say that growing food in your backyard is just like growing money. You plant those seeds, and you think you're planting tomatoes, but you're actually planting money, because those tomatoes, you may be able to sell them for $1.50 to $3 a pound. And if you plant them inside early so that you have early tomatoes in the spring, then you might even get more than $3 a pound. And there's other, and tomatoes is something that we often think about because tomatoes has one of the best quality differences between the locally grown and the mush tomatoes that you get out of the grocery stores. But all the vegetables, carrots, radishes, lettuce. If I had a ton of locally grown organic carrots, I could sell them in a heartbeat. The Oklahoma Food Co-op constantly gets people calling us who are looking for this, that, and the other, and we just don't have it. Our vegetables tend to sell out in the first couple of days of each monthly order. So we have a very strong need for more vegetables. Restaurants are always calling us and they're saying, where can we find this? I get calls from food service professionals, the kind of people who are going to serve a banquet for 500 people, and they want materials for a local salad, and it's not available. So the demand is way in excess of the actual supply, and so it's good for urban people, and it's also good for rural people, because a lot of people in rural areas may have access to a half acre or an acre. There's 83,000 part-time farmers in the state of Oklahoma, and one of the quickest ways to do economic development would be to help those part-time farmers become full-time farmers. Then they've created a new full-time job on their farm, and then they can quit their day job in town, which opens up a new job for somebody else.
Well, Bob Waldrop, thank you for letting us come by and talk to you in your side yard garden here.
Well, thank you very much. It was nice to talk to you too.
Bye-bye.